Mark Orchard and Tess Weatherald from Swyftx. Thanks.
Everybody here? Hello, testing. Hello, everybody.
All right. Hi, guys. How is everybody going? You enjoying the conference so far? Yeah?
Give us a bit of love. How's the conference going so far? All right, cool.
Cool. All right. So just to get started, who are we? We are a company called Swyftx, and we are here to talk to you about going to the moon.
Which is interesting for a crypto company, but it will make sense. I promise we'll explain.
Promise it will make sense. All right, so who are we? So my name's Tess, and this is Mark with us. So we actually work in Swyftx, and we work in what we call the people and culture team. So Mark here is our talent program director, and my job is actually doing employer branding. So what we want to talk to you today is actually about Swyftx as a company, and we've kind of put it into 3 or 4 acts. So we want to go through our origin story, our challenges, the cool shit that we're doing, and then we got some lessons and advice. All right, let's get into it.
I love it, Tess. I feel like we've already made an impact. But just quick, while we have everybody here, can I just get a round of hands? Who's in year 12 at the moment? Quite a few. Who's in year 11? Quite a few as well. Year 10? My gosh, year 9. Is there anybody who thought this was a university lecture and is completely confused right now as to what they're doing? 1, excellent. Well, it's good to have you here. Wonderful. Tess, in regards to just quick with our team, so like the reason why we're here today is because we are looking for early stage, high potential talent, and places like this are a great place to find them. Tell them just quick, what does your job do when employer branding? Give a little bit of an example of just what you do typically.
Sure. So employer branding, I'm not sure if you may have heard of that before. So basically what my job is to make Swyftx a cool place to work. So all of the cool things that you might see the company doing on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, that's my job, to run programs like that and attract talent. So we want the best people working at Swyftx, like Mark and I. And so I've obviously got to put some good programs in to make sure we attract them.
Got you. And my role is to find those people. So as talent program director, my job is to find people all the way from primary school and high school, all the way through to the end of university who have an interest in working in the future of finance. And that ties really well into our origin story, because for us, we're not a typical company. We actually only started a few years ago. Tess, you want to go to the next slide? Like, Swyftx is an Australian cryptocurrency exchange that allows users to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and over 300 other digital assets. Now, we have only been a company for about 4 years, but over that 4 years, we have grown to over 270 people big, and we've had over $30 billion worth of trade volume through our platform. And we have over 600,000 users, and most of those have come in the last 12 months. And so the really cool thing about our role is that everything is always changing all the time, because as people join our company and as things scale, everything breaks, and we need to be there to try and make those problems and challenges meet them really well for our users. Tess, talk us through.
Cool.
You're actually in that photo.
I am. So I actually am fairly new to the company. And one of the cool things that I learned when I started was actually our origin story. So Mark, who are these cool cats here?
So Alex and Angus. Now, they're both 27. They live in Brisbane. And they met at a program or a camp not too dissimilar to this. So has anybody heard of NCSS? Has anybody gone to that previously before? Cool. So coding camp 2012, 2013, those young strapping gentlemen you saw on the last photo are right there in the first and third row there. And they met at a coding camp in a similar situation to you all. And they actually spent the first 3 days of their coding camp trying to figure out how to build what they ended up calling ChromeBot. That ChromeBot turns into 5 years worth of friendship. And then in 2018, Angus and Alex decided they wanted to build a company together. And that company started in the third bedroom of their co-shared house. And that's where they thought, you know what? we're really interested in this cryptocurrency thing. It's really hard to buy crypto in Australia safely. It's really hard to have anyone with customer support. It's really hard to have anybody to actually call if something goes wrong. We should build something that can do that. So in 2018 and 19, this was Alex and Angus in their first t-shirts of the Swyftx brand. The logo Alex was very proud of. He made himself in Microsoft Paint. If we then go to what the office looks like now, in 2022, we're now over 270 people big. We have offices in Brisbane, in Sydney, in London, and hopefully across the world soon. But probably the most important thing, Tess, is what the people actually do there. So if we are actually looking at, I guess, where we want to go with this particular origin story, what do we believe in?
So one of the things with Swyftx is they're so passionate about giving back to the community, and what they want to do is actually pay forward for future generations and make the future of fintech better. So that's like at core of what Alex and Angus actually set out to do. So, you know, with that sort of purpose in mind, that's where they built out, you know, our vision and our mission, and really got us on that trajectory to be one of, you know, the leading cryptocurrency exchanges in the world. But where do we want to go, Mark?
That's a good question. Where we want to go is internally, what we say is we want to go to the moon. And for us, what that means is that we want to think bigger than everybody else, and we want to work harder and faster to try and build one of the best fintech companies in the world, and to bring the best people to come and work in that company. Because for us, the hard thing about financial education and financial literacy more broadly is that most people don't really know much about their money. And particularly with the amount of apps that you have on your phone, if you have a banking app, and then you have a crypto app, and then you have a share trading app, realistically, most of those apps are gamified to try and make you spend more time on them rather than teach you how to build your financial longevity and well-being. That's what we want to build. And for us, that's what going to the moon means.
So I guess my question, Mark, is how do we actually do that?
That's a good question. And the best thing about our role every day is that literally we have some really interesting and big challenges that we are fighting on a day-to-day basis. Building a tech company is really, really hard. And that's the point, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. But for us, and probably the most important thing, is being able to define our challenges into things that our teams can take a step at a time in the right direction. And so, Tess, if we go to the next slide just quickly, our biggest challenges can be broken down into probably these topics. Our technology is really important. When you're dealing with people's money, it's super important that it's secure, safe, it meets governance, compliance, and legislation, but that people feel like it's really easy to use, and that people feel like it's really personal to them. Finding great people is also a big challenge, and this is why we come to events like this, because we want you, hopefully one day, to potentially be interested in or potentially work for Swyftx. The markets, for anybody who is following cryptocurrency at the moment, the markets over the last few weeks and few months have been really tricky in helping our clients to overcome the challenges of both an up and down market. Legislation and the fact that cryptocurrency, but more broadly, digital and money is changing all the time. And our goal is to try and be a thought leader in that space to make sure that our clients, and more broadly, all the consumers of fintech products are safe and happy, but ultimately get the best customer experience. Finding partners that want to build companies like this as well, but also our competitors. We're in a really competitive space, and that's exciting because it means that you've got options, but it's also tricky because it means that we need to have a value prop that people believe in. And from our point of view, that's what makes us different.
Cool. So as we've kind of touched on, our values at Swyftx are so important to us. We live and breathe them. So we actually have 6 that we instill in all of our employees. So you can see them up here on the board. So we've got 6 here. Uphold integrity. So that's a huge one for us. So it's not always about doing the easy thing. It's about doing the right thing. Next, we always want to grow. So we're always looking to develop ourselves, develop the company, and grow. Be excellent. I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory, but, we try and attract and retain, the best people, and we want them to be the best. But we like to have fun, A lot of people say, you got to work hard, play hard. That's definitely true at Swyftx. We like to have a lot of fun while we're at work. I mean, a couple of the photos you saw earlier, we've got ping pong tables, we've got ball pits, we've got golf simulators, we've got all of it. But we work hard for it. The last couple, we innovate. So we're leading the way in the fintech, industry. We want to be pushing the boundaries and seeing what is possible. But we also want to do it securely because, as Mark said, we're dealing with people's money. So we can't actually do anything that would compromise that. So these values, we live and breathe them at Swyftx.
Which then translates into what cool stuff are we doing? And probably the most important for you guys is to be able to see where does Swyftx want to go in the future. So, Tess, ultimately our goal is to build the future of finance. And for us, what that means is taking all the traditional banking products that you think that a normal bank might use and the cryptocurrency, NFT, Web3 space that is really interesting and unique at the moment. We think long-term that that's going to amalgamate and be a hybrid offering. And we want to be first to market with a really complex but really easy to use super app that allows people to control their financial well-being from one place on their phone at any time. How we want to do that is that we need to focus on our customers. The most important thing for us is that our customers are happy, and hopefully that they then commit to, and long term, have multiple different asset types with the Swyftx platform. We generate revenue when our clients buy and sell different assets through the platform, and our goal is to be able to, in the short term, maximize their opportunities around cryptocurrency specifically. But we also have just merged with a company we'll talk about in a sec that does equities and shares trading specifically. And then long term, we have aspirations for all kinds of different products, whether that's foreign exchange, NFTs, banking products. Sky's the limit. But the goal is that we need to find great people to come help us to build that for our customers to be able to have that super app experience. Tess, this has been pretty big news over the last week for us.
This is very big news.
Talk us through a little bit the merger with Superhero.
Yeah, so we were very excited in the last couple of weeks. We actually announced that we've done a merger with Superhero. So Superhero, they're actually based here in Sydney, and they specialise in traditional ASX trading in both here in America, and they also have a superannuation product. So, as we mentioned, we're always looking to push the boundaries, expand on our product offering, and merging with Superhero is just one of the ways that we're able to do that. So it's very exciting.
Agreed. And then in regards to the next slide, Tess, probably the most important thing for us is that for us to be competitive, we need to be a global product. And for us to be a global product, we need to be able to find people all around the world who both want to use what our product offering is, but also who want to help us build it. And for us, it's moments like these where we like to be able to share our vision, mission, values that allows us to be able to explain why we think the future of finance is worth building. And that from your point of view, hands up, who wants to be rich and famous one day? Got you. Most of you. Excellent. Putting aside whether that's actually just a tongue-in-cheek thing or something that you actually aspire for, our goal is to make sure that people see tech as an aspirational career path and certainly enable you to be able to, earn a wonderful salary doing interesting work that you really like with people that you think are interesting. But long term, and one thing that we'll encourage you is to ask for, if you're working for a startup or scale up, to potentially have some shares or some equity in the company itself. And for us, we think that that's really important, and all our employees currently have been given options or shares in the company because we want to all be successful if we hit our goals. So that leads into some lessons and advice. Now, I'm mindful of the fact that unfortunately, for me, year 12 was a long time ago. It was probably about, 15 years now, Tess. It's all the grey hairs that give it away now. But there was a couple of things that we wanted to talk through for you that you could take away from our presentation, even if you don't have any intention of joining Swyftx as a potential employer, but that hopefully you can take away from this presentation and talk to us out the front a little bit later on. So Tess, talk us through.
Absolutely.
Play big games.
Play big games. So this is one of those things that we want to go to the moon. We want to reach for the stars. So we're taking big chances. We have a bit of a culture at Swyftx of asking, why not? Why can't we do something? So, we always encourage people to, if you've got an idea, reach for it. What have you got to lose? Next thing, go for the opportunity, stay for the mentors.
Yes. So one thing, when I meet a lot of people who in the first couple of years of their university degree, they really ask some specific questions around things like title, or job opportunities, or brand names that they could potentially work for. What they don't realize is that where the most value is for you at the start of your career is actually finding an opportunity where you can have an impact and find mentors in those teams that actually want to see you grow. And ultimately, as you start to vet for opportunities as a part-time job or as a work experience or long-term as a potential internship or graduate career, our goal is to try and support you to find places where you can have your best work rather than places that will look best on your LinkedIn or resume.
Awesome. So next one is high performance mixed with high trust. So, Swyftx is a really high performing business. But the thing is, all of us believe in the goal that Angus and Alex started. And if we didn't, we wouldn't be here. And that's such an important thing when you join a startup or you join a company, is believing in, the vision of your founders, of your CEOs, of your leaders. Mark,
Sure.
Stay humble, stay foolish.
Just quick, who is planning on having a career in tech? Who's doing ICT or some sort of software engineering or software development? Awesome. So you guys are going to be in really big demand. But one of the things we find with our best people is that they are still humble and they are still curious to learn things. And so my encouragement to you is that your goal as you progress your career is never to be the master of what you do, but is to be curious as to what else you can learn and to be the nicest person in the room who builds other people up. If you can be that person, people always remember and want to do good things for you. Next.
Ask for shares in the company. So, Mike, you've already touched on this one a little bit, but, I've heard a couple of questions from, previous presenters where people are asking you about salary and things like that. This is one of the things that I'm a big advocate for, is shares in the company. I have a vested interest in Swyftx being successful because I have shares in the company. So, Mark?
Let's do it. So lastly, one of the things I've got a couple of questions from so far from our booth is, what do we need to do to potentially get a job at Swyftx? Now, the on-record answer is obviously do well at high school, do well at university, make sure you get good grades, go to an internship or a grad program, come through all that process, and then eventually we'll be looking for people like you. But if I'm honest, off-record, finding really great tech talent is really hard. And so if you have a really great portfolio, if you're interested in part-time work or internships, and you can demonstrate that you've got the technical skills to actually be able to contribute to the team at Swyftx, our programs are designed to be able to find alternate pathways into the company. And my goal as the talent program director is to hopefully be the conduit between you potentially and Swyftx. But if it's not the right fit there, you and whatever the next step of your career is. Just do it. Whatever that is, make sure you make the first step and be proactive on that. Sorry, Nike.
All right, so we've got some time now for some questions.
Now, I'm mindful that this over here, like in
Yeah.
that last session, you guys got looked over all the time. So my friend over in this corner, let's go to you first.
Yeah? Okay. I kind of have two questions. We'll see how it goes. The first one I want to say, you said you make revenue through when someone buys crypto. And with crypto being such a volatile market, especially right now, how are you going to maintain customers and, by extension, maintain employees?
Good question. Tess, do you want to run with that one, or would you like me to run?
I think you might take this one, Mark.
Got you. So, interesting enough, because Swyftx is an exchange, like our revenue is obviously very much dependent on people actually trading. So we don't mind if the market goes down per se as a business, because our business model actually works quite well if the market's going up or down. For us, it's more about the clients and making sure that they're okay. So our customer service team has done a lot of really proactive work over the last 2 to 3 months, trying to make sure that as the market has changed a little bit, that our customers are okay. In regards to our employees, this is the best time to join a company like Swyftx, because of the volatility allows us to actually make sure that the people who come into the business are coming for the right reasons. What we've found is that the number one reason why people stay at Swyftx is because they believe in our mission and they want to do their best work. And the people who typically don't want to do that type of work usually get vetted out in our hiring process. And we have a couple of our recruiters here. Shout out to the team over in the corner. And they do a really great job. So I think retention's actually easy, because for most of the time, by the time they've got a job, they actually see the value in staying with a company like Swyftx long term.
All right, who is next? Let's take one from, have we got another one over there or over here?
What was like the starting point of the two founders to start Swyftx?
That is a great question, and I'll probably answer that only because I knew Alex and Angus at the very start. So interestingly enough, Alex and Angus wanted to buy some cryptocurrency, and they found it really hard to do that in Australia. And so they ended up buying some crypto overseas in an overseas wallet, bringing it back to Australia, and their friends started asking them how they could do that. And so they started coaching and helping some of their friends and family be able to actually get access to crypto. And they're like, well, if we're helping all these people around us, why don't we just make like a platform for people to kind of be able to do it themselves? But that that then turned into, well, what does that platform need to look like? And the number one thing they identified is that people needed to trust that if they gave their money to them, that it was going to be there and somebody cared. And so that's where it turned into a business idea. But it took them 12 months before they actually were able to launch into market. And those 12 months were really tricky, building out a product that was a minimal viable product, but at the same time good enough to be up to scratch for people's money. But that early idea is simply that they wanted to buy some crypto in 2017-18, and they found it really hard, and their family and friends did the same.
Awesome. We might take one down there.
So if I decided to do work experience in your company, what kind of skills will I learn as an employee?
That is a good question.
That is a great question.
Before you sit down, what skills would you like to learn?
It's like something along IT and how I can actually incorporate technology into finance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect. Tess, do you want to go for a run with that one?
Yeah, so, that's a really interesting question. Mark and I actually have the privilege in a week or so of running an intern boot camp. So we actually have a number of students coming in to do a 2-week intensive boot camp with us. So we put them into teams and we give them a problem to solve, and we give them some coaches and some mentors, and we work through with them to actually develop a program at the end of it. So you get a little bit of project management in there, you get a little bit of coding. We try and give our interns access to a few skills, so when they come out at the end, they might have a better idea of what they want to specialise in.
Yep. And then for our actual interns and graduates, they join a team, and those teams have a agile coach and a DevOps member who kind of oversee the whole project and bring the intern or the graduate in based on their skill set and experience. And that's where we then start to help them figure out what do they need from a personal growth point of view, and then long-term, where they're going to fit in the team if they decide to stay or if they're offered a long-term full-time opportunity. One of the things that's great is that Swyftx is in this really great spot where we're big enough to have an internal team that can coach and mentor you, but you're also going to be deploying code, in the first 3 months that's going to be used straight away into the app because we need great people to do that. So it's a really exciting time to join the company.
Awesome.
Well, we've got lots of questions, Tess.
Yes, we've got 1 minute to go, so I think we'll take one last question. We've got one right down the front here. Oh.
Got you. All right, up the back.
Up the back.
I was wondering, as you said before, your platform provides education for finance. How does that actually impact the consumers and helps them?
That's a wonderful question. And a couple of things. So first of all, we were the first cryptocurrency exchange to go to market, at least here locally. They had a demo mode on so that you could trade or practice trading beforehand to get a feel for how to do research through the app without actually having to trade your own money. And then we've built an education center on top of that. So we constantly are in communication with our users to be able to try and figure out what type of financial literacy or sophistication do they have? Are they quite well versed in volatile assets, or is this their first time? And then how do we design a customer map or a customer journey through the design of the product for them to be able to engage organically with the right information for them to make good decisions. Now, ultimately, we can't stop people making good or bad decisions, and I don't think there's such thing. But in regards to our education platform, it's really important for us that our clients feel like that they're getting educated as they trade, and it's not just a platform where they're encouraged to do more. Does that make sense? Got you.
Awesome. Well, Mark, I think we are out of time, but as we mentioned, we do have a booth outside. If you have any other questions, we would love to talk to you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
And Tess, before we go, let's quickly take a selfie with everybody in the background. Come here,
right.
Tess. All right, everybody, we expect a big shout on 3. Was that okay? 1, 2, 3.